The first topic in physics for IGCSE and O levels is measurements. How do we measure different things, and what instruments do we use? So let me go to the board. Here we go. Now, measurements. Actually, if you focus on physics, the subject of physics, you will find out the mostly what we do in physics is we define quantities, we make different formulas, how to calculate them, we make measurements to measure them. This is actually all that we do in physics. We first of all try to understand a phenomena and then try to turn it into a quantity, and then we will measure it, and we develop instrument, and we do practicals on it and experiments on it, and we find how what things it depends on, and this is how we know about different quantities. And every chapter that you see in physics, mostly it is a quantity. Let's start with the simple quantities. Length. Length is a quantity that comes with many names. For example, how many names of length you can think of right now? Length
Height.
is a length. Width, yes. Width is a length. Height is a length. Depth
Depth.
is a length. Thickness is a length. Distance is a length. Displacement is length. Radius, diameter, circumference, perimeter, and many more. These are the ones that are on the top of my head. So all these are lengths. Let's say ETC. Measuring length. Common instruments. Number one, meter rule. Uh, Meter rule means it can also be half meter rule, 30 centimeter or 15 centimeter plastic scale. They are all same things. Okay, because why are they same? Because they all measure up to
Length.
0.1 centimeter. No, they all measure length, but they all measure length up to 0.1 centimeter or 1 millimeter. Okay.
Teacher, what do you mean by that?
Listen, if you look at the scales on them, For example, if this is a scale and you look at it, you will find this is 3, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. There will be a longer length than 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then there will be 4. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Similarly, here 2, 3, 4. There will be 2 on the back side. That is not important right now. So this is how a scale looks like. Does it?
Yes.
So these are centimeters. Now, if you use this scale, from here to here is 1 centimeter. How much is from one small division to another small division? How much is this?
0.1 centimeters.
Or 1 millimeter?
Yes.
So anything that will be measuring with this will be accurate to 1 millimeter.
Okay.
Anything we measure is accurate up to 1 millimeter. For example, 7.3 centimeter or 73 millimeters. So it can only be accurate to millimeters, not more than that. Okay.
Okay.
Number 2. Number 2 is measuring tape. Also measures up to 1 millimeter, but can be used to measure long lengths. For example, length or height of room, uh, length of football pitch. So if you want to measure how long a pitch is, or where should the lines go, you can use a measuring tape for that. Now, after measuring tape, there is an instrument known as vernier calipers. What are vernier calipers?
They're a tool of measurement to measure very small objects.
Used to measure very small lengths with an accuracy up to 1/10 of a millimeter. Okay.
Okay.
up to 0.1 millimeter. The ruler was used to measure up to 0.1 centimeter, but 1 year calipers can be used to measure up to 0.1 millimeter. Uh, are you people from IGCSE or O levels?
IGCSE, sir.
One by you're doing IGCSE, and what about you,
Yes,
Hiba?
mass.
Hiba, are you doing IGCSE or O levels? Okay,
IGCSE.
good. Then you only need to know that the 1 year caliper is a device that is used to measure length, and it can measure up to 0.1 millimeter. Okay, it is used to measure something with more accuracy. Okay, what I can do here is I can show you the shape of this thing. One year calipers. It can measure things with different like it can measure different features of something. Let's say we steal this diagram from here and we can bring it to the board. Just 1 second. There we go. So this is what? Just 1 second. Okay, here we go. So this is a 1 year caliper. Now, look, if you want to measure something externally, you can put that object here and you can measure it externally. But if you want to measure something internally, then how can you use the same device to measure something internally? These jaws, they can be used to measure something internally. All you have to do is just put the object on them and then open them from inside, and they will measure something internally. And this one, this stem, that can be used to measure depth. It can measure depth. Okay. But readings are always taken from here. Okay. So a very common question that we need a device to measure a internal diameter of a pipe. What instrument should we use? Now, a ruler cannot measure something internally with high accuracy, but can a vernier caliper do that? Answer is yes. So
Yes.
if we have to measure something from inside, the most useful device is vernier calipers. How to take reading is not part of our syllabus, so we will not discuss that. Yeah. Now, micrometer, screw, gauge. Now, what is this? This device can measure with an accuracy of 1/100th of a millimeter. Okay? Used to measure very small lengths. For example, diameter of wire, thickness of paper. It has a very uh, different shape. Let's bring one here. Micrometer. So this device can only measure something from outside. Let's bring this to the board. Okay, micrometers are used to measure something with very high accuracy. When do we need such an accuracy? If we are finding diameter of a wire or diameter of a hair, human hair, or diameter of or thickness of single sheet of paper. For example, if we have uh, too many papers of same kind, we can stack them together and use the odd ruler to find the thickness of paper. But if we have just one paper, one specimen, it is, let's say, an old ancient paper, and somebody needs to find the thickness of that paper, and we don't have many of them, so that we can stack them together and find their overall thickness and then divide with the number of papers. In that case, we use a device like this. So it is a very highly accurate device, and it can measure up to 1/100th of a
Millimeter.
millimeter. Look, uh, you can see, for example, this is the final answer. This is 1/10 of centimeter. This is 1/100 of a centimeter. And this too is actually 1/1000 centimeter, which is equivalent to 0.01 millimeter, 1/100th of a millimeter. So it means we can use a micrometer to measure something with an accuracy of 1/100th of a millimeter or 1,000th of a centimeter. So that is why this device is very useful to measure something with more accuracy. Now, using ruler to measure length, and different kinds of problems that we can encounter while we are measuring length using a ruler. Uh, for example, if we have a ruler like this is a ruler, and we are measuring something which is like this. Now, one more example. This is a ruler, and the thing that we are measuring is something like this. Okay, it has round ends.
Okay.
Third option is that we are measuring something which is circular. So how these measurements are going to be different and difficult. Now, in this case, the first one is the easiest one. This is scale. This is object. This will be reading number one. This will be reading number two. And length of object, which is from there to there, length of object equals to L. And L will be very simply reading number two minus reading number one. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Reading number two divided minus reading number one will be the length of the object here. In the second case, there will be a slight difficulty. Like if your line of sight is not perfect, and the way you are looking at the situation, for example, if you see this thing from here, this is the position of your I1, you will be finding out that this is the reading. You will be looking at this as the reading. And if your eye is here, let's say this is I2, it will be finding that the reading of the object is here. This will be reading number two. And if your eye is here, I3, then you will see this as reading number three. Which reading and which eye position is the correct one?
I3 and readings number 3.
Good. If end of object is away from the scale, the line of sight can cause an error. This error is called
Parallax error.
parallax error. This error is called parallax error. To avoid parallax error, keep line of sight perpendicular to scale. This one line, this one phrase is going to save you 1 mark in exam. This can appear in theory paper, or if it does not appear in theory paper, it definitely appears in MCQs. And if it is not appeared in these two papers, then it is for sure appearing in your ATP paper. alternative to practical, where you have to explain the line of sight has to be perpendicular to scale to measure something. So this is a problem, and this problem can be very huge for the third example, because if we have to measure the diameter of this thing, like we need this diameter, how can we now measure this thing? One is that keep the line of sight perpendicular, but that is not very easy. It is easy to say than done.
You can put lines right immediately after and before the circle, and then
Listen. You are not measuring it. You're not measuring it on a diagram. Obviously, in your exam, you will be measuring a diagram. But an actual situation, when you're in the lab, you're not measuring it on a diagram. You're measuring it on as a real object.
yeah, so you could put like two rulers,
We can
or
put
yeah, two
two
blocks.
two blocks on either side. Make sure the blocks are rectangular. Okay. Make sure these blocks are rectangular. This is how you can find reading number one. This is reading number two. To avoid parallax error, we can put two wooden cuboids on both ends of sphere. This is a sphere, not a circle.
Yes,
Both ends of sphere.
yes, sir. It is.
Or or we can use two things that you have in your geometry box and you never use them are like this. Have you ever seen something like this in your geometry box? Just 1 second. Let me complete this thing. They are found in your geometry box, but mostly you never use them. These are called what? Or
Triangle something.
we can use set squares which have one rectangular side, a right angle side. We can use it to project end points of sphere on scale and measure, avoiding parallax error. So again, this will be reading 1, this will be reading 2, and diameter will be reading 2 minus reading 1. Okay, so this is how we can avoid parallax error, and this is using an ordinary ruler. Now, two questions. Question 1. How can we use simple ruler to measure thickness of one paper in your physics book? How can we measure thickness of a single paper in your book? Question 2. How can we use an ordinary scale to measure diameter of a thread on a reel? So, two questions. One, how can we measure thickness of a single sheet of paper using ordinary ruler? Answer is
The answer, teacher?
yes, please.
So we would have to take like maybe 50 or 100 pages, then
Mhm.
get the measurements of all those 50 pages, and then just divide by 50 to get the one page.
Hmm. Good. Uh, very much like that. But why do you take 50 papers? Why don't you take the whole book? It will be easy to
Yeah, depending
know
on
that,
how many papers, how many
like,
pages.
the more pages makes it more accurate.
Yes.
So we can use the whole paper and a whole book. For example, this is the book. We can place the ruler next to it and find the whole thickness. We can measure thickness of whole book using just 1 second. Just 1 second. Now we can measure thickness of the whole book equals to T. We can count number of papers. Remember, we need papers, not pages. And thickness of one sheet of paper equals to T equals to total thickness divided by number of papers. Okay. And this will give you very accurate value of thickness of paper. Now, for example, you have a reel of a thread. This is a reel of a thread. And I want to measure thickness of the diameter of the thread. Again, I'm not using micrometer here. Can we use an ordinary thread, ordinary ruler to measure it?
Yes.
Diameter of
Yes.
thread to be. Yes, good. You're right. We can. And this is how we will do it. This is a pencil, the ordinary pencil that you have in your geometry box. Okay. I'm using a pencil, or you can use any uniform stick or anything, but pencil normally makes more sense to the students. They can see that, okay, this is something they have seen. This is an ordinary pencil. Now, what I do is I make the thread go around the pencil again and again, making side by side turns, leaving no gap between the thread, not letting the thread to overlap. Okay. Now, thread is wind around the pencil, avoid overlaps and gaps. Can we measure this reasonably long reading? Is it a measurable thing using a ruler?
Yes. Yes.
Good, good. Got it. We can measure total length of thread coil L, count number of turns of thread, and diameter of thread D equals to total length divided by number of threads. And this is how we can find diameter of thread using the ordinary ruler. So these kind of questions are very common to be seen in exams, and this is how we measure length. In the tomorrow's lesson, we will be discussing how to measure mass and then time and volume. Okay, then this topic will be complete. At the end, we will do some past paper questions. This is it for today. See you people tomorrow.